I was a lead account manager for company X. Well, that's not enough. Tell a little bit about how you grew as part of that role. Evolved or developed from account manager to senior account manager to overseeing a team of 5 account managers for a Fortune 500 client. Or also share your successes. Helped client X improve their click-through rate from 5% to 15% on a new email campaign. Things of that sort will really help to show clients that not only have you done this work, but you've been successful. The portfolio area is a great way to display real examples of the type of work that you do. So in this area, upload files, image files, audio files, video files that showcase the type of work that you produce. Now, a question that I'll often get from new freelancers is, well, I'm brand new to this line of work, or, all the work that I've done belongs to the clients that I've worked for. What should I include in my portfolio? Well, you can include items that you've worked on, personal drafts, items, files, examples that you've used to hone your own skills. Those are fine to include in your portfolio. What you're trying to do here is just show examples of what you are capable of and work that you have truly done. It doesn't have to be work that you've been paid for on Upwork or anywhere else, really, but it has to be truly work that you've done. This next one is something that I really like. It's we've observed the behavior and really the conversion that happens when freelancers who have a introduction video versus those who don't. This is just a quick 30-second to a minute and a half video that allows you to really show clients who you are and what you're all about. So use this as a way to help to develop that rapport. And again, remember, clients have never met you, right? They don't know who you are. So this is a great way to show them, hey, there's a real person on the other side of this. Here's who I am. I'm really excited to work for you. Here's the type of work that I specialize in. Contact me and let's get this going. Skill tests are a great way to validate those skills that you're claiming to have. I'll go back to the confidence building and the trust factor, which is you can tell a client, hey, I know Adobe Photoshop. Hey, I know Adobe Premiere. I have WordPress experience. I'm an SEO expert. But they don't know that for a fact, right? Without looking at work examples or without looking at validation of these skills. So this is a great way, a free way for you to take some tests, some quizzes that can validate those skill sets, and you can display those on your profile. Here's an example of a really well done profile. This is actually a freelancer that I've worked with on a regular basis, John. And I'll just point out a few things here. Again, it's a very targeted, concise title that he has here. I know right away what John specializes in. He does screen capture and animation videos. Most clients are coming to the site with a particular specific need in mind, so you want to help to address that right off the bat. His skills are very targeted, and his overview section is really well written, gives you more context of that type of work that he does. Okay, so let's talk about the process of submitting proposals. And before you do that, what we'd like to do is I have this slide in here to tell freelancers, before you go get started and jump out there with submitting proposals and using all of your connects at once, we encourage you to take a pause and make sure that you are targeting the right jobs for you. That's really what this slide boils down to. You have a certain amount of time, you have a certain amount of energy, you have a certain number of connects, which are these virtual tokens that you use to submit a proposal each month. You have a certain amount of those available to you. And because of that, we encourage you to use them wisely. So if whether you're a data entry specialist, or whether you are a financial consultant or a marketing expert, as you are looking at the jobs that show up when you type in email marketing copywriter, you want to take a hard look at those jobs and say, okay, are these the ones that are going to be the best fit for me and the ones that I should approach and target? So here's just a checklist that we've prepared. You will all have your own checklist, I'm sure, and this will be an exercise that really becomes second nature to you over time. You'll know what you're looking at or what you want to look for. But we encourage you, take a look at those job posts, see if they match your skills and interests. Has the client taken the time to prepare a complete and thoughtful job post or job description? And I'll show you what that looks like here in a second. Is it going to meet your needs financially? Do you have the time available to complete this job? And does it meet Upwork's terms of service? So, you know, if you're seeing a job post out there where the client is saying, hey, I'm hiring someone to design a new website for me, and before I would decide whether or not I want to interview you, I need to see a mock-up or a wireframe of my website. That's considered free work, right? They're asking you for a design, for a mock-up, without that being part of the contract. That would be a violation of our terms of service, and we encourage you to flag that to us rather than waste your time submitting a proposal on it. Here's an example of a really comprehensive job post, job description. This is what a client would provide as they are posting their project to say, hey, here's the need that I have and who I want to hire. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, you're not going to always see this level of detail in a job post or job description, but that's okay. You know, what you want to look for are really some of the items that we highlighted here, and I'll reiterate them here as I voice over this slide, which is number one, can I tell from reading a job post or job description what this client's looking for? What are their needs and what are their deliverables, right? If I'm looking at a job description and the title is blog manager, well, I'm an expert in writing blogs. I've had a lot of experience in this, but then I look at the job description and it just says, hey, I need someone to manage my blog. Well, that doesn't give me a lot of information around what the requirements are. That doesn't tell me that this client has a great picture for what they're looking for. So those are ones that, you know, might cause a little pause, or at least give you the sense on, hey, I'm going to move on to the next 3 or 4 job posts and take a look at those to see if they have a better description of what the client needs or what I can help fulfill for them. The other thing that I encourage you to look for is really these next 3 bullet points that we have here, which is requirements and specifics. So, you know, from looking at this job post, can I tell what this client, what kind of requirements do they have? Are there particular skills that they need? Are they looking for someone in a specific location? Do they want someone with a particular number of years of experience? All these specific details are going to help you understand either right away, do I fit the bill for this job, or should I move on to the next one? Right? In this case, I'm looking at this job post, and this person is, let's say they're looking for someone who's based in Australia. Well, I'm not based in Australia. I'm going to move on to the next project and look at that one. Okay, so we've looked at some job posts. We've reviewed 20 or so open projects in our category. We find there's maybe 10 or 15 that seem like a really good fit. So now it's time for us to submit our proposal. So there's a lot of information that I'm sharing here on this slide, but really it boils down to really 2 things. One is be targeted, be specific in your proposal. So the proposals that don't win, and by winning I mean they don't lead to interviews, they don't lead to correspondence with the client, are those that are overly generic. You know, those proposals in which a freelancer might say, hey, I'm an email copywriter, please hire me, or I design websites, please hire me. Because what that tells a client is this freelancer is not taking the time to understand the client's project, to read through their job description, and to address their needs. So that's really what you want to do as part of your proposal, is if the client has any details in their job description, address those details. If they've asked any questions or have any areas that they appear to be unclear of, and you have answers to those, address those questions, address those areas specifically. You want to show a client, I've taken the time to understand your job description, your job post. I'm looking to win your business. Here's my experience in this type of work. I've done a little bit of research about your company. I see you have this you're looking to build a website, and I'm looking at your past website. Here's some recommendations I would have on areas you might want to consider. Those are the types of things that show a client that you are targeted, you are really trying to address their needs, and you want to help them achieve success. Now, getting to this next bullet here, that doesn't mean you can't have a framework of how you always submit a proposal, right? Because you do want to be efficient. And so, you might set up your own framework that says, here's how I'm always going to start off with my introduction. I'm always going to restate my understanding of the projects and the objectives. Then I'm always going to talk about how I plan to do this work for the client. That's fine. And then you can just fill in the blanks, right? Based on each job, based on any of the unique criteria or specifics that come up there. So then all of these next points really just fold into that. Demonstrate that you've read the job description. Show your interest. Highlight the value and the benefits that you offer. What about you makes you different? Why are you the right fit for this job? Do you have more experience? Are you just more passionate about this type of work? Whatever it is you want to add in here. And then we do encourage you to provide relevant samples. So if you've done this type of work before, and maybe the client's looking for someone to design a new logo for them, and you've done logos before, you've done logos for e-commerce companies like the one that is posting this job, you absolutely want to add those as well. So you can provide samples, you can attach a file, you can point clients to other things that you've worked on. That is all your game. So you absolutely want to provide some examples if you can. Here's an example of a pretty well-written proposal. And I'll just leave this up here for a minute or two, but all the details that I covered on the previous slide hold true here. Start off with a professional greeting. Again, it's really about demonstrating that you are trying to win this business. You are trying to do this work for a client. So certainly factor in those elements as much as you can. One question that I've seen come through here that I want to make sure I address in case any of you need to drop off early. We do have a recording of this webinar content available. If you go to our community at community.upwork.com, again, that's community.upwork.com, type in interactive or new freelancer webinar, either of those would work. You'll see we should have another session coming up along with the recorded version there, so you can join us at any time. Part of submitting your proposal means submitting your price. And a question that I often get in these webinars is, hey, I haven't done this before on Upwork, or I see the rates are this, how much should I charge? Well, I can't give you that specific guidance, but what I can say is, this is something this is an exercise, this is an element that I think is going to become really familiar to you over time. Take a look at what the rest of the market is charging for this type of work. Go to Google and say average rates for SEO content writers, things of that sort. But then also you can take a look on Upwork and see how much these projects. I apologize. I needed to mute myself there for a pretty loud sneeze for a second. But you can go to Upwork. What I always recommend is taking a look at what other people are doing. So sign out from your account, come back in and search for freelancers as if you were a client, and maybe you are a graphic designer, look up graphic designers. Maybe you're a mobile app developer, look up iOS app developers, and check out what some of the top rated freelancers in that category have listed as their hourly rates. That can give you a sense of, hey, this person typically charges around $25, $30 an hour. I have a lot more experience in this particular area. Maybe I should start off by trying to charge a little bit more. Or I'm brand new to this field of work. I have around the same experience as this person. Maybe I'm going to try being a little bit more competitive and maybe charging a little bit less on this job. Consider the client's point of view. So from a job post or job description, you can always click in and see what their work history looks like. See also from that job post, are they looking to work with an expert? Are they looking for someone who's newer? All of those can factor into your costs as well. Okay, let's talk about how you get paid. And one of the great benefits of working on Upwork is the payment protection that we offer, which effectively means if you are following the process that we've outlined and doing the work and delivering a good customer experience, you're going to get paid. So on fixed price contracts, well, let me start with, we have two types of contracts. price contracts and hourly contracts. Fixed price means there's a defined deliverable or set of deliverables at the end of the job. For example, I want a new website built. I want a new logo created. I want 4 blog articles written. That type of, I want a financial review. There's something at the end of this project that the client wants to pay for. There's a final cost or budget associated with that. Hourly projects means the client wants to pay for time, and these typically work better when there's some flexibility involved. An example would be, I want someone to manage a database review, setup, and administration. So I need someone who can do everything from assess vendors, to implement the database system, to set up accounts, to manage some support afterwards. And I need this person for, I think probably around 15 hours a week. I don't know. See, there's flexibility involved. The client wants to pay for time. Or I want someone who can handle customer support inquiries for my small business. Now there's going to be some training involved. There's going to be some email management. They're going to be on the phones for some amount of time. But I know I need someone who's available 10 hours a week. On fixed price projects, we call it fixed price protection. So the way this works is, let me give an example. Maybe, let's say the client wants to hire for someone to create a logo. And they say, I'm willing to pay between $1,500 and $2,000 for a new logo to be created. And they get a bunch of proposals, they interview some people, and the client says, I want to hire Maria. Maria says, I can do this job for $1,600. So the first thing is to have that dialogue, and that can happen through our message area. We say, okay, let's settle on $1,600. The next step is, as the client is awarding that job to Maria, they will be documenting. Maria can say, I recommend 4 milestones for this job. The client says, well, why would you recommend 4? I think maybe we should do 5. You can have that dialogue and that negotiation. On almost all fixed price projects, we recommend more than 1 milestone. A milestone is a date when you expect to deliver some work and get paid for that work. And the reason why we recommend multiple milestones is because they give you these checkpoints, right? So that Maria isn't waiting and saying, okay, I really hope the client likes the logo that I give them next week. Otherwise, I'm not going to get paid my $1,600. Instead, what Maria and the client are agreeing to is, let's agree to these checkpoints to make sure that you're getting work that you like and to make sure I'm getting paid. So in this case, Maria says, I think 4 milestones would work. The first milestone is I'm just going to do a quick sketch of the logo based on a couple of phone conversations that we have. Or the first milestone is a first phone conversation, a consultation meeting. And that's just for $50, just to make sure we're on the same page. The next milestone is for a second version of the logo in JPEG format, and it's in one size and it's in color, and that's for $250. The next milestone is for 2 different versions of the logo, a color one, a black and white one, 3 different sizes, and that's for $500. And then the final milestone is for the final image files, and that's for the remaining, $800 or however much is left on the project. So you can see as we set up these checkpoints to make sure that Maria is getting paid and to make sure the client's getting work along the way. And if there's any discrepancies, we can go back and forth and fix those things. But first, we agree to those milestones. Then, as the client is awarding that job to Maria, the client is going to be asked by Upwork to fund escrow for this project. What that means is the client is taking money from their payment method and depositing it into an escrow account on Upwork for this job and for these milestones. Now they can fund the whole project, so the whole $1,600, or they can decide, I only want to fund a partial amount. I'm only going to fund that first $50 milestone. This is where your payment protection comes in as a freelancer. You do not begin any work until that milestone is funded with escrow. So let's say if we set up the first milestone to be an hour-long phone consultation, Maria does not agree to do that call, to start that call, until that first milestone has been funded with escrow. That means she'll see that the money is there. It doesn't mean she can go in and withdraw the money. The money is there, the milestone is funded, is held secure, protected by Upwork. After that milestone is complete, meaning in this case we finish that phone call and maybe we send off some notes, then we wait until that milestone is released to us. So you'll see that the milestone shows escrow is released, and the next one is funded before we continue working. That's how your payment protection comes in. You do not begin work until a milestone is funded with escrow, and you do not continue working until payment has been released for any previous milestones and the next one is funded with escrow. On hourly contracts, we call it hourly protection. The way this works is, let's say the client wants to hire someone to manage some technical support for their small business. And they say, I want someone who's available between 25 and 30 hours a week. And here's what I'm going to need this person to do. They interview a bunch of freelancers, and let's say they end up hiring Sophia. Sophia says, I am available up to 25 hours a week at $30 an hour. And maybe there's some negotiation that takes place, whatever it may be. The first step into working together is to agree on the number of authorized hours and the rate. So in this case, the client says, okay, let's set this up for 20 hours a week. And Sophia says, okay, I agree to that. What this means is you can work and log at up to 20 hours each week. Now, if you need to do more, you can have that conversation with your client. If this needs to change, you can have that conversation with your client. But you can also log in, let's say the first week is just a training week, and we're only going to do 5 hours worth of time. You can just log 5 hours. You can have that conversation with your client. So, first step is to agree to those authorized hours and have that documented in the contract. And that's what the client is asked to do as they are awarding you the job. Second step is really important, is for you as a freelancer, in this case Sophia, to download the Upwork team app. And you can go and do this today. You don't need to have any active contracts to do it. The team app is a feature, and you'll find this from your profile. So sign in, go to your account profile, and I believe it's under your settings there. If not, it's on your profile page itself to download the team app. The team app is basically a time card. So on Monday morning, let's say this is a training week, and Sophia's going to spend 3 hours on Monday reviewing documentation and attending a webinar. She starts the team app when she starts her computer, and it will capture that time and capture screenshots of her computer and upload those to her timesheet called the work diary. At the end of the week, that timesheet gets submitted to the client. And, during the week, let's say Sophia's logging time, maybe she needs to take a break, she pauses the team app. At the end of the day, she stops it, starts it back up the next day. It captures time as she's working and adds these to her worksheet. At the end of the week, that timesheet gets automatically charged to the client. The client has that time during the week and then a week after to dispute or reject any time that wasn't spent on their job. So if they look at the work diary screenshots, so they see, Sophia, forgot to pause the team app and she was checking out her personal Facebook or answering some email, or she wasn't doing anything, they can reject that time so they don't pay for it. Your payment protection comes in that you have to use the team app to track your time, and you must be adding comments and showing clients what type of work you're doing during this time. So as long as you're doing that, you're going to get paid each week. If there's any issues with that, you can contact our team and we'll look at that. Here's an example of what those milestones look like. So you can see in this case, we've set up 3 milestones. Again, the key point here is never begin working until a milestone is funded with escrow. Never continue working until that milestone's escrow fund has been released to you and the next one is funded with escrow. And then for those hourly projects, here's a little bit more detail around what that timeline looks like. So the key point here on a fixed price job is once the deliverable's been approved and escrow has been released, it may still take 5 5 days for that money to land in your account so you can withdraw it. But as long as this step has happened here, that escrow has been released, that should be your clue there to say, okay, let's continue working if the next one is funded with escrow. And then here's what the hourly work diary looks like. Again, the key thing here is make sure you're using the team app to track your time. And, if there's any issues with a payment, you stop, wait, contact the client, see what's going on there before you continue working. Now, the key point here on the hourly timeline, what I want to show is you are tracking time from Monday to Sunday. The following Monday, the client's payment method gets charged, and then they have this time here to reject any time that's not spent on their job. And then there's another security period there before the money actually lands in your account. So, you might continue working here, but the key point is you want to make sure that you're getting paid for those previous weeks that you've done. Okay, really quickly, going to cover off on a couple of things here related to my stats before I open it up. I'll give you some resources here and then open it up for questions. I mentioned that work history and feedback area will build up over time as you complete jobs, as you get ratings and feedback from clients. Really, the only things to mention here are you will have the opportunity to leave feedback for clients as well. Just be professional in that feedback that you're leaving because it will show up. It is available through your profile as well. We will remind clients to leave these ratings, leave this feedback because it is important. It rolls up into what we call your job success score, which includes the type of feedback ratings you're getting from clients, the number of projects that you have that have gone on for a long time, which is a really good sign, right? It means your clients are happy, they want to continue working with you. So all of that information folds into this job success score that shows up on your profile as well. We mentioned that top rated designation, that little badge that you see there. Certainly something to strive for. Top rated freelancers are those who have achieved success on the platform, who continue to have high standards and high results in their job success score and otherwise, so you absolutely want to strive for that as well. The place to look at all of this is in your MyStats dashboard. So as part of your account, you'll see you all have this MyStats page. Take a look at that. It gives you more details around what are clients saying, how am I rating, what's my job success score looks like, how am I doing as I submit proposals and the responses that I get as part of that. So familiarize yourself with that MyStats page if you haven't already. Okay, and then I'll jump right into a reminder of some of our basic guidance as it comes to trust and safety and making sure that you're following the guidelines here and doing everything the right way. First of all, don't hesitate to reach out. And you can go to our community.upwork.com. You can check out our help center, support.upwork.com. If there's ever anything that you want to double check on. Hey, I see this job post is for some content writing. Someone's asking me to write an essay for their class. Is that okay? Is that allowed here? Check out our help center. Check out our community. By the way, it's not allowed. Hey, this client's asking me to send them the files, because their escrow payment is held up. What should I do there? Well, the guidance there is you never want to deliver work before you've gotten paid or before payment is going through. So you want to make sure that at least escrow has been released, or if it's an hourly job, that you're using the team app so you can always go to our team if there's ever any issues with it. You're never getting paid through PayPal from a client. They're never wiring you money. They're never writing you a check. You're always getting paid through Upwork, meaning you can go to your Upwork account and withdraw that to your PayPal, but a client is never sending you that money directly. And that's how you stay safe. That's how we're able to track that money and that flow if there's ever anything that we need to assist with. Finally, some takeaways, resources, and then we'll open it up for some questions from all of you. Focus on that profile. This is the best professional view of you and your experience. You absolutely want to take the time as you're building out your profile or go back and edit it. Make sure every proposal is custom. every proposal is a targeted approach to this client and their business. You want to be trying to win their business on this particular job. Get paid confidently, and that happens by making sure that if it's a fixed price job, you're using milestones and escrow. If it's an hourly job, you're using the team app to track that time and get paid through it. Keep an eye on your reputation with your MyStats page, and then get involved with us here on the community.upwork.com. That is where you will find a recording of this webinar. Well, not this one specifically, but same content. If you go and type in freelance or webinar, you'll be able to find that. You'll be able to see all the slides and things like that. And then have a conversation with us. We have a team that's really active there. We have a lot of other community members who are engaged and willing and able to answer most questions that you have. So please join us there. We encourage you to. So with that, I will pause my screen and open it up for all of your questions. So you can start typing in your questions if you haven't already, and I will be doing my best to answer all of them. Okay. Excellent. Sorry, folks, just scrolling through here. Okay. Jenny says, I am a software developer with 3+ years of experience in corporate software development. I want to transition to open source and web development, but I don't have any professional experience, and my previous work was only available internally to my employer. How do I present myself in my profile? How do I harness my experience while conveying my transition? That's a great question, Jenny, and I'm not as familiar with kind of the intricacies of those two types of skills, but a couple of thoughts that I do have. One, go and take a look at what other folks have on their profile and in their portfolio. Now that I'm not advising you to go copy what they have in their portfolio. That is a violation of our rules. But for those who are in the area that you're looking to get into, which is open source and web development, what do they have in their portfolios? And are there any materials, whether through your education or training in this area, that you can add to your portfolio as examples of the type of code that you write, the type of work that you do? So this is where I would encourage you to draw from your personal portfolio, because you are either new to this field or the work that you've done previously belongs to that employer. So that's one thing that I'll mention. In terms of really leveraging your past experience, which you have experienced, it's just not in this particular area, make your title, make your overview section lead with the type of work that you're looking to do. Hey, your title would be something like open source and web developer. Don't lead with your lack of experience, is what I'm saying. So in your overview section, say, I'm looking to work in this line of business. Here's the type of training and education I have in this area. By the way, I also have experience in doing X, Y, and Z. Most of my roles have been in that area. Here's how I've helped the companies that I work for there. You're not dwelling on your past experience. You're just showing that you do have experience. It is in the professional arena. You have that level of expertise. And again, you're leading with what type of opportunities you are looking to pursue. And again, I always encourage people to take a look at what other folks are doing in their categories to get a bit more of an understanding. What if I'm only half good in each of my skills? It's really the guidance here is to focus on the skills that you are strongest in and select skills that are relevant to the type of work that you're applying for. So, if there are some skills that you're still brushing up on or getting some training on, I wouldn't include those. If they're not critical to the type of work that you're looking to do, instead I would include the 5 or so that I'm really trying to specialize in or that I really excel at. Leanne says, are you only allowed to fill work history with Upwork projects, or can you insert projects you completed prior to your involvement with Upwork? It's only Upwork projects, Leanne. The exception to that would be if you are an freelance, if if you are coming over from Elance, that site, we do allow you to import and bring over that work history. But yeah, that work history section in particular is only for Upwork projects. The employment section is different. That's where you can bring in other work that you've done. Will a copy of this be emailed to us? No, we will not be sending out a copy. We do have a recorded version available in the community. If you go community.upwork.com and type in new freelance webinar, you will see that. What do the increased tokens represent? And that's from Mark. So we have what's called a connects. I call it a connect system. But basically, as part of your membership as a freelancer, you have a certain number of connects that are granted each month. Connects are like tokens. And what these mean is for open jobs in your category. So let's say you are a data entry specialist. You're looking for data entry jobs, and you see 20 open jobs right now. Well, because you have 60 connects, in order for you to submit a proposal on any of those jobs, we're going to say, okay, hey, this requires 2 connects. I think almost all jobs today require 2 connects. So you go from 60 to 58. At the end of the month, those connects replenish. At the beginning of the month, I should say, your billing cycle. So you will get another 60. Now, if you are invited to submit a proposal, which will happen to many of you, so the client will say, hey, I'm hiring for as they're posting their job, I'm hiring for someone to do data entry work. And as they post their project, we're going to show them a list of people and say, hey, these are some folks who do this type of work. They can invite that person, they can invite you to their job post. And if that happens, you don't need to spend any connects. If you're rehired and the client says, hey, another job I'd like you to work on, here it is, you don't need to spend any connects there either. Ikevosa says, when posting my portfolio, is it okay to add titles and thumbnails and point them to my website to see the rest? Would you advise against that? I'm asking because most of my projects include a lot of material and is shown best on my website. That's a great question, Ikevosa. I think we do prompt you to add a description and a title there, so certainly do that. But the more important question here, is it okay to link to your website? That is okay to do, particularly in your proposal or in response to a message. So let's say you submit a proposal and you say, here's a couple of examples of the type of work that I do. I have more examples in my website here. That's okay. Don't do it on your profile page. Now, when I say it's okay to do it in your proposal or in your communication with the client, that comes with a really big caveat, which is the link that you're pointing them to should not have your contact information. So if you're pointing them to your personal website, it shouldn't say, here's Ikevosa's brand site, contact me here for work, here's my phone number. Or, submit a request here through this email box. So that can be a big challenge for many of you because, your website, your personal site or your design site might have a lot of the examples, but it's put there for a reason, right? So that people can contact you. We don't want that happening, so that can be quite a bit of a challenge. So instead, I encourage you to provide examples through your portfolio that don't have your contact information. Send additional examples to your client, but make sure that those places that you're sending them to, if you are linking them somewhere, don't have your contact information. We want you getting awarded that project here on Upwork. Right? We want you getting paid here on Upwork. That's the only way we can help to ensure that you do get paid, that if there's ever any issues, we're here to support that. We absolutely want those relationships staying here. Abigail says, what if relevant samples are already in our portfolio? Should we still attach them? That's a good question. I still recommend freelancers attach the most salient, the most relevant examples, or point clients directly to it. Basically, don't assume that a client will go to your portfolio and look for it themselves. Kizar says, can I give my Skype name to clients in my proposal? Give Skype names? Yes, you can. You can share the contact information as part of your proposal. And that's fine. It's okay to have that dialogue with a client to say, hey, contact me. Let's set up an interview through Skype. Let's have here's my phone number. Let's have a dialogue. That's fine. Just make sure you document that discussion in our message area, and absolutely make sure you're getting awarded that job through Upwork. Margarita says, thanks for the information. I missed the first half. Will this be recorded? Yes. If you go to our community here, community.upwork.com, Margarita, and you type in new freelancer webinar, you'll see a recorded version there. Should I put my examples in PDF format? And that's from Kevin. It depends on what type of files those are. If you're uploading portfolio, or if you're uploading to your portfolio, we support different file types. If you're attaching a file to your proposal, it really depends. I think I do see PDF more often than not. That's great because it gives the read-only type of access that many of you will probably want. You don't want somebody editing your stuff, right? So I would do that, yeah. But other files are fine and are supported by our message area. If the need arises, how can we get more connects? And that's from Catherine. You can upgrade to a paid freelancer membership plan, which is at, I think, $10 a month. So you'd be on a plus membership plan. And that allows you get, I think, 80 connects each month versus the 60 that we have on a free account, or maybe 70. But then you can also buy additional connects. So if you run out, you can pay, which I think they are $1 a connect. Is there a sample proposal on your website? That's from Amy. We don't have sample proposals out there, Amy. We do, both through the recording for this webinar, and in our hiring headquarters, you'll find some more guidance around what makes a great proposal with some tips and best practices. I think relatively soon we will start to provide maybe a couple of examples of this in our help center or in our help materials. But we purposely don't provide a bunch of samples. We want freelancers writing their own proposals. We want these to be targeted and custom approaches for a particular job. So really it's about following the guidance and the best practices that we've shared here and that we have in our other videos and materials in the hiring headquarters. You'll find the hiring headquarters if you go to the footer of most Upwork pages. You'll see down there hiring headquarters. Type in proposals or look up the freelancer area of that blog. You'll find a lot of useful information there. Arshad says, I'm a certified accountant and just made my Upwork account a few days ago. I find projects related to accounting and finance very competitive when I see others' profiles. I don't have work history on Upwork. Is it good to start with data entry and other similar stuff? Hey Arshad, that's really a decision that you'll need to make. Is it good to get your feet wet with a couple of projects? Sure, but if they're outside the type of work that you're really looking to do, it's not going to benefit you that much. I mean, it gets you familiar with how Upwork, the site works. Really, we recommend you work on the type of area and the type of projects that matter most to you and that you're best at, right? And that you're passionate about, because you're gonna be more successful in those projects, and that's ultimately what we want. So does that mean it's going to be challenging because other people have Upwork experience and you don't? Sure, but if you are a certified accountant with years of experience doing this, then you should focus on those skills and those talents and those differences, right? Other people who are doing accounting type work, they might not be certified accountants like you, Arshad. They might not have the work experience that you do in other offline channels, and I would certainly play that up and take the skill test to show that, show the results that you've had or the work experience that you have had before. All of those will help you stand out. Denise says, is it ever a case where a client will like to interview on a Google Hangouts? If not, where are interviews conducted?